Hello everyone, and welcome to the Energy Resilience Lab. Our lab is dedicated to teaching you what you would need to become energy resilient at whatever level you want to. So there's many different levels. Maybe just getting a small power bank that'll back up your phone for a few days is sufficient for you. Maybe you just want a day of backup for a laptop. Maybe you just want to set up a little UPS system for your internet connection so that stays up in the event of a power outage. Beyond that, you can build systems that will make your home more resilient, or your commercial, your workspace more resilient, and then on into industrial and utility, and then to a whole nation, whole countries, and what they would need. So we'll be going through different scenarios, learning how we can become more energy resilient and energy independent, and we're going to take you along for the ride as we learn more about it and as you guys tell us what you're interested in. We'd love to help you with whatever systems you're working on. So from RV systems all the way up to full utility energy storage systems, we'd love to work through the problems and the opportunities that energy storage can bring to you. So our lab we'll be bringing different types of shows to you. The first is kind of news related, so we'll bring up different news topics that come up in the United States and elsewhere in the world that we can look at and put ourselves in the shoes of people that are actually there, and we can use that to learn what we would need in the event that that happened in our area. So that's the first one. The second one is informational, so we'll just go through different scenarios and different products that can be helpful to you at all the different scales. So we just want to get the word out so that you guys know what you can do to make yourself energy independent and resilient. The other shows that we'll be sharing will be question and answer, so we'll just take questions from the audience, whoever is out there that's interested in learning more or has a scenario that they're working through. And we'd love for you guys just subscribe to the channel and start leaving comments. And if you leave a comment, we'll look at it and see if that's something we'd like to put in our question and answer show. And that show will just be dedicated to the questions, and we'll go through and answer those questions for you so that you can start working on getting your system built. And then the other version of the show will be interview style. So we will be bringing in as many people as we can that are interested in energy resilience or that are in the market now, that understand what liability there is and what problems can arise at the utility scale that then cascade down to us in the event that there's problems. So today we just want to run through a quick news article, and we will just put ourselves in that situation and see kind of what different systems we could get to protect ourselves from and make ourselves resilient to that level of problem. So today, a few days ago actually, in Milwaukee, a winter storm pushed through southeastern Wisconsin Wednesday, February 22nd, knocking out power to thousands of We Energy's customers. This outage lasted for what seems to be sort of thousands of homes that lost power for one day, and they restored a lot of the power, but some homes lost power for 2 days. And so if we look at that as a scenario for us, if you lost power and you had to make it through a couple days, and there were sub-freezing temperatures outside, especially if you're in an area that doesn't usually have freezing temperatures, you need to know what you need to take care of yourself and to take care of your family to make yourself resilient so you can respond to that problem and be successful in coming out the other side without problems and even comfortable in some cases. So let's think about it. So power's down for, we'll take the case of 2 days. There are several things that we need. We would like to, if we have electric water heating, we may need to use a system to heat that water. we'll likely run into situations where we need to cook. So we may have snacks and things for a day or so, but then we want to actually do some cooking within those 2 days. So having a hot plate and having some energy storage on hand would be useful for you to be able to power a little hot plate, boil some water, and make some food for your family. So you can have a nice warm meal when maybe it's cold outside and it's dark inside from having the power out. So we've got heat, so water, heated water, food, heat in general, just heating your home. If you have gas-powered heating, you probably have a blower on your furnace, so you would need to power that to keep the system running to warm your home. So that's something you can look into backing up. And then kind of the lowest level is just to have some lighting. So when the power goes out and it's dark in your house, you can have candles and be able to light different areas with candles. They can be dangerous, so most people avoid that, but you can do that. You can get little oil lanterns, or you could go out and get a power bank that will connect to some lighting systems, some light bulbs that you can distribute in your home in different strategic areas so you can light your house. So that's one option that's very cheap that you can do right now that will allow you to get lighting at least when the power goes out. So that's something that we could work on. Going kind of further into larger systems that we could use to power through a storm like that, we could use a home energy storage system. Average home in America, I believe, uses around 25 kilowatt hours per day in normal usage, and kind of the peak power varies a lot. So that's something that you would have to find out for yourself. But 25 kilowatt hours a day means that if you got around 50 kilowatt hours, you could weather that storm with no interruption, essentially. You could use all of your systems in your home, power your stove, power any furnaces or other things, and you can even have UPS function where the lights don't even flash when the power goes out. So that's a system that you could have just as an energy storage system in your home. In addition to that, you can add energy sources to that. So you can have a standby generator connected to that system that would charge the battery system just when it needs it. So it would turn on for a portion of the day, charge the battery, and then the battery would go through the inverter and power your home as long as it can, and then it would switch back to generator and charge it again. So that's a great option with low fuel consumption and very high resiliency. You're essentially redundant. The generator and the inverter can power your home, and so you have two systems that if one goes offline, you have the other. So you've got the grid. If it fails, you can fall back to the inverter. If that fails, you could fall back to the generator. But in case the generator and the inverter work together, they can work just to minimize fuel, minimize emissions, and to give you the energy that you want at whatever capacity you want, enough to live your life in a normal manner. Beyond that, usually once you get to the commercial space, most companies will shut down their production or their work if the server goes down or if they don't have lighting to help all the operators do their jobs. And so in that case, it's about the same as a home system. You just have to measure how much energy your system uses. I actually work in the market, and just today I worked on a project that uses around 150 kilowatt hours per day. And so we're looking at how much it uses and finding out from the people that own it how long they would like that resilience to last. And in this case, it was 8 hours. And so we're looking at maybe 50 kilowatt hours to get a system that will give them 8 hours of backup for each building, just to keep lights on and to keep their operations flowing during the day. In addition to that, if you do have a system like that on your business, you can use that battery and inverter to peak shave the power that you're using. So if you have significant demand charges in your area, those demand charges can be mitigated by using the inverter just when it's needed. So it would cover the loads when it goes high, and then it would charge when there's valleys in the power. And so it essentially limits what the grid has to supply balanced load throughout the day, which is very optimal for them to produce that power. They can produce that cheaper than they can varying power that's changing all the time. So that's why they have demand charges, and that's something that you can mitigate and get an ROI through time by installing one of those systems. It's the same once you go to industrial applications. It's usually just larger, but there can be benefits with downtime and opportunity cost and just direct losses from power loss. I've worked with some companies that if their power goes off for an hour, they will lose $1 million. And there's no, the only way to recoup that is if the power stays on always. And so if you make a UPS type system that backs up their operations, then they can turn off their production cycle as soon as their energy storage system is getting closer to empty. So they can save on the opportunity cost of the power loss, and they can not have the bulk loss of the missing production that would have been lost in an abrupt power outage. Next, as we go up in scale, would be a substation level resilient system, and that would be essentially a container size system, probably in the range of 2 to 4 megawatt hours. And that system would be added to a substation. So if anything upstream happens to the utility power, this system can switch over and power all the homes that are downstream of that substation. So when we look at problems like this, so here in Wisconsin, down in the southern United States and Texas, we had some freezes. Just the weight of the ice on the power lines is enough that it can damage them, break them off, have them hit each other. If there's high winds, they can hit each other and arc out and trip different systems and break the transmission lines. So that's what's happening at the utility scale that's causing the outage. So there at the utility, you can have an energy storage system, energy storage systems arrayed out on your lines that just go out, that don't have any loops. So if something breaks, that section can still have energy for a specific amount of time. So that's where they can do their work. And the utility's already working on this. A lot of utilities right now are working on energy resilience, and they're working on peak demand mitigation. And with that, they're getting more and more assets that can just be they are essentially the same as a generation facility, but they're batteries and inverter systems. And so they can spin up in milliseconds. Whereas if you have large scale generation plants like coal-fired, natural gas-fired, all of these, there's a pretty significant time that it takes for that system to start operating and covering the amount of power that you need. So these energy storage systems are very helpful to minimize the problems that we see in our homes. So it's all getting better. Everyone's working on it. There's infrastructure bills that have gone through. There's also the Inflation Reduction Act, and that act gives us the opportunity where we can invest at our level as consumers, getting more products that are energy resilient. So I will probably dedicate a whole show to the Inflation Reduction Act, just so we can be clear and find out where the opportunity is and what we can get to help ourselves in these emergency type situations, and get a little kickback from our taxes in the process. So there we've gone through a situation where you would have a couple days of power outage. So going forward, we'll keep sharing any news articles that we see that are interesting that we can look at and learn from, so that we can become energy resilient and not have to go through the problems that all these other people are going through to learn what we need. So that's what we're dedicated to. Please like, subscribe, and share our channel. This is really early, but we'd love to just help you get the information you need to become energy independent and just to live your own lives and to control what's going on in your life so you don't have to go and beg or borrow or steal to get things working in your life. You can pre-plan for it. We're going to help you do that. So thanks for checking out the Energy Resilience Lab, and I hope you guys check in later and keep watching our videos. We'll keep sharing. And like I said, please leave comments and questions below in the comment section, and we will go through those and we'll work on some question and answer shows for you guys so we can answer your questions and get you guys up to speed so you could be energy independent and resilient, so you could take care of yourself. Thank you. Signing off. We'll talk to you guys later.